Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. The purported report by KTN about opposition lineup that has been leaked to seal who is going to face President Ruto in 2027 is a red flag, and according to me, it looks a more choreographed NIS-sponsored story to achieve a political objective. And in this podcast, I have seen Rigathi Gashagwa amongst the Kenya Kwanza, amongst the opposition principals, has become the first politician to react to that report. We are going to listen to Rigathi Gashagwa's reaction, and I will demonstrate to you what someone wanted to achieve by telling the country, as at this point, who the presidential candidate is. I have seen that report and I was sampling reactions. And by the way, I've made that argument from even reactions of Kenyans. If you check the reactions of Kenyans in social media, since 3 hours after that story was published, you'll actually understand why and where this is driving at. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our videos, and thank you very much for supporting this podcast. And we must say in our podcast, we have a very, very deep, well-researched and extensive content. So we want you to get the information so that even when you argue out there, hata kama unapiga story in those corridors, you'll talk from an informed point of view, because in this podcast, if it has not happened, you'll not see it here. Here, we give you what it is. Subscribe. Subscription is absolutely free. Now, that much ado, take the next 4 minutes, and I've just picked this 4 minutes of this story. Take the next 4 minutes of your time and listen to what KTN are telling the country.
Tonight, KTN can now confirm that a special team mandated to come up with a special lineup within the united opposition that will face President William Ruto at the ballot come 2027 is finalizing its work. According to a document seen by KTN, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka remains the preferred presidential flag bearer for the united opposition, with either former Interior CS Fred Matiang'i, DAP party leader Eugene Wamalwa, and Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya being floated to be Kalonzo's running mate. And as our senior political affairs reporter Chris Thyro details, DCP party leader and former Deputy President Rigathi Gashagwa would claim the position of Prime Cabinet Secretary, with PLP party leader Martha Karua taking the Speaker's position of either Houses of Parliament. Listen in.
24 months to the much-awaited 2027 general election, and the united opposition are strategizing day and night on how to remove President William Ruto from power. The first proposed lineup puts Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka to be the presidential flag bearer of the united opposition, with former Interior CS Dr. Fred Matiang'i being his running mate. Former Deputy President and DCP party leader Rigathi Gashagwa will take the position of Prime Cabinet Secretary, with PLP party leader Martha Karua taking over the position of Speaker of the National Assembly, while DAP party leader Eugene Wamalwa taking over the position of Senate Speaker. DP party leader Justin Muturi taking the position of Attorney General, which he held in the Kenya Kwanza administration for 2 years.
Sisi tunajenga nyumba yetu.
Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya, who has been pushing to gain popularity in Luya politics with his Tawe slogan, will be convinced to seek a second term as the governor, and if he fails to get the position, he'll be assured of a cabinet secretary position, and more so the powerful interior docket.
Mount Kenya has been traumatized to the extent that the feeling of betrayal runs very deep.
We should not have a presidential candidate from the mountain, because I know what that means to William.
If there is such an arrangement, it won't deliver because it will avoid the split you are talking about. And it would also make sense because Gashagwa will still be significant, higher than the deputy, basically, because of his personality.
The second lineup is to have Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka as the presidential flag bearer, with DAP Party leader Eugene Wamalwa being his running mate. Gashagwa will maintain the prime cabinet secretary position. Same case with PLP Party leader Martha Karua, with Matiang'i taking the position of Senate Speaker.
Western has always been a battlefield. The Luhya people seem to enjoy being the audience.
He is extremely fearful of an election against him where the mountain has not been divided.
The worst thing Mount Kenya can do is to run a presidential candidate. If they do that, don't bother Ruto gets a through pass, okay? Because also you won't be able to turn it against them. You won't be able to tell the country that, well, we have not performed because these guys have been bothering us, so they can come back to the seat.
The third lineup is to have Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka as the presidential flag bearer, with Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya being his running mate.
It turns out that the united opposition decides that their running mate is going to be Eugene Wamalwa or George Natembeya, or any of those Luhya people
From
out
my
there,
point of view,
then it should not surprise
my
me
bold
to see President William
story
Ruto
do not
saying
seem
that
to have a source.
we are going this time
This story
round
is projected
with Musalia
as
Mudavadi
a
as the
leakage.
running mate.
And because it is a leakage without a source, it can still be an inside game. And you look at the timing of the story, something is very sinister around it. By the way, ukisikia kisema tonight KTN can report, that means ni kitu ya jana, but has been posted 3 hours ago. And of course, KTN has not denied, they have not revealed the sources. We're actually waiting for the Standard newspaper, which is going to have this as their headline story on Tuesday. I can see that coming, so that we see what it says. But there is something very clear from this story. In all those formations, the formation is a bit rigid in this context. There is some rigidity in it, that there is only Kalonzo Matiang'i as option 1, Kalonzo Eugene option 2, Kalonzo Natembeya as option 3. And then I'm curious that the same report argues that Rigathi Gashagwa will become the prime cabinet secretary. Now, and Rigathi retains the PM position in all those formations I've shown you. At the same time, this report also shows that Karua takes the speaker position. Martha Karua, who is with Rigathi in the US, announced her presidential bid while in states. And also in this report, Attorney General is Muturi in all those formations. So one question that one question that played in my mind was this: that if the crafters, the alleged crafters of the document, believes Rigathi can be a PM, then why is there not a possibility of Rigathi being in the ticket, probably even as a running mate, if he can be as a PM? Something is simply not tied up there. Number 2, intentionally, the report, according to me, doesn't show anything for Mulembe Nation in any position apart from the running mate. So Mulembe Nation is only catered for if Natembeya or Eugene deputizes Kalonzo. And as the country was also talking about the candidature of Matiang'i, the report is telling the country that it can only be Kalonzo Musyoka who is the viable presidential candidate. Okay. On some positive note, this report opens a conversation for the country to interrogate who exactly can be the presidential candidate. However, that answer might not be necessary now. And while I was just doing my research, I saw a video from Rigathi Gashagwa. And Rigathi Gashagwa has dismissed that report, that is not the true account of what is happening in the opposition camp.
Ruto is trying to divide the opposition. Ndio apitie katikati. Na yeye ni mkali na ni mjanja. Na ako na pesa na watu wengi wanapenda pesa. Many people, very few people can be able to withstand corruption through money. So within our team anajaribu, lakini tumekaa imara. Tumekubaliana, mimi niko hapo. Kalonzo ako hapo. Matiang'i ako hapo. Eugene Wamalwa ako hapa. My sister mother ako hapo. Natembea ako hapo. Hata huyo mtata ako. Na yule mtu yote anataka kuwa rais. Tumesema kila mtu aende atafuta kura zake. Kila mtu asanye zake. Pale mwisho next year, hapo after Christmas, tuketi. Tuweke kura kwa meza, tupige hesabu, tuulizane nani atapeperusha bendera as one candidate only against William Ruto. I am a front runner and I think I have the best chances to be president. But I want to give you a commitment. If the formula does not favor me to send Ruto home, I'll sacrifice my ambition and support whoever the formula favors. Because if he is treating Kenyans this way, when he still needs their votes, you can imagine what will happen if he gets a second term. Kama anasema ati watu wapigwe risasi mguu na gari anatafuta kura, na kama hahitaji kura, si atakupiga yeye mwenyewe. I don't think he even said anybody to shoot people. He will do it himself. So it must be one term. And we must sacrifice. So I want to give you that assurance. I have seen some reports by KTN sponsored by the National Intelligence Service. Oh, wamekubaliana na huyu, so that they started dividing us and causing conflict. We have not settled on anybody, and it's not it. There is only one thing that has been agreed on, one term. Sindio? Hiyo tumekubaliana. As to who we are replacing, bado. But Wakenya wanasema hata wengi hawataki kujua. Some women at home wananiambia si hata kujua ni nani. Bora huyu atoke. So what has been agreed on, and now the newspapers can write, KTN you can do a video, nani ni one term, hiyo muendelee. That I want to confirm, that has been agreed on. As to who is a flag bearer, at the right time, we'll discuss. And government is huge. There is space for everybody. And we'll agree who takes what position, provided we come up with a formula to create good governance and get rid of corruption, get rid of killing, get rid of abductions. That we must do. Tumekubaliana watu wetu.
You need to remember that William Ruto was in Kambani the other day, on Sunday. And he donated a Land Cruiser to one pastor there. And is supposed to tour Ukambani region. You also need to know that Matiang'i and Rigathi are out of the country, and the country has been paying attention to what Rigathi Gashagwa is saying in America, both Rigathi and Matiang'i. But I have a soundbite from Matiang'i. Let's have a listen at this.
All of you wonderful people grew up in an environment where you know viongozi wa kitaifa, wakubwa wa serikali wakizungumza mahali pale waseme kuanzia mwaka ujao mpango wa elimu utakuwa namna hii. Kila mtu anaamini hakika hivyo ndivyo itakuwa. Lakini tuseme ukweli, leo watu wakisimama pale, ahadi tumepata ahadi kama maelfu sijui 15 na hakuna hata moja, nothing. In 2022, just before the elections, I was invited to a meeting by Archbishop Ole Sabit and the Anglican bishops. And I spoke to them, this video clip that has been doing rounds all over. The bishops asked me questions about, the budget. You're saying 5 billion, 2 billion to see border, I don't know which billion is to who. They asked me, I said, these are lies. You're just being lied to. I said that 3 years ago. And Kenyans, it has come to pass. And I said, the Chief Justice invited us to a meeting in Naivasha of the National Council for Administration of Justice. Everybody was in the room, including judges of the Supreme Court and the DPP, the entire justice sector was there. Then I was asked, including the late Chebukati who attended the meeting, I was asked this question about money and campaign finance. And I said, this wash business we are seeing here, some of these people doing well on the campaign trail are people who are on the Interpol list for wash and money laundering. If we are not careful as a country, we are going to launder into elective offices up to 40% of these characters. And we will pay a price for it. Today, my colleagues, those of you who are in the finance sector, we have been listed. 3 weeks ago, the EU also listed us as an insecure financial transaction environment. It has never happened since independence. And the reason why I was very surprised about that EU one is that we are the only country in East Africa on that list.
Yes. So you need to put that into context. So this story, you will also see that in the whole report, while Matiang'i and the opposition camp have been trying to endear themselves to the Gen Z, there is nothing for the Gen Z in that menu. And someone wanted to achieve a political objective by running that story. As to whether that story is true or false is not the point. As to whether it is leaked or not, if the opposition were having that and it has been leaked in its texture, then something is wrong even with the opposition themselves. Because if there is something like that, why should it come as a gossip? Why should it come as a gossip? Of course, we know that there's a technical team that was working on such a document. Number two, if they're not the one, if there is no such agreement or that document within that camp, then something is a problem. And if it is not there and the discussions are going on, then they must call themselves for a crisis meeting and find out who is this one party who leaked this information to the media. And then from that point, they will understand that I'm clearly telling you that NIS seem to have infiltrated the camp. What did someone want to achieve by that report? It can only be these 4 factors I want to put on your end. And this is for you to digest. William Ruto, on several occasions, been demanding that opposition presents their plan. Yes. He's been talking about it, that plan yao ni 1 term. Plan yao ni 1 term. Let them ask you about jobs. Ask them what they do about this, about that. And Rigathi has given an answer here that our plan is to remove Ruto. True. But remove Ruto also, you cannot evade the question of what will you do? Because that is the marking scheme. Like now we are using that. That is the marking scheme. When Ruto says, I'm going to do 1,000 dams, and the minister comes the other day and say, not even one is complete. That is the marking scheme. That is the marking scheme. Someone simply is giving William Ruto a fodder against the opposition that their only plan ni kugawana maviti. And I can tell you, the state bloggers are already in Twitter telling the country how opposition is so busy about positions and they don't have any plan. And number two, they are also asking the Gen Zs to interrogate and see whether opposition has something for them. Remember, the opposition is running away with the Gen Z population. So this is something that this is something that someone is looking at. And the second aspect, the second objective why such a story is coming is planting internal discord within that team. Remember, there's so many unanswered questions as to who has leaked it. What is the objective? And let me tell you, I've seen Rigathi denying, and Rigathi Rigathi has rubbished that report. I'm waiting for Kalonzo, and we are going to see the reaction of all those leaders around them, so that we see what they do. But there will be a planting of seed of discord, because if someone is discrediting Kalonzo's team will start asking, oh, are we not capable? And it has been made too that Mount Kenya has 3 positions. Remember, in that dividing, and that story is even fake. How comes they're talking about Speaker of the Senate and Speaker of the National Assembly, and there is nothing like Speaker of the Senate? But even if they wanted to be complete, so wangesema that someone to take Speaker of the Senate. That would have been the discussion. Number 3, I think someone is setting up the opposition with the Gen Z. They're being set up on this, and it's a clear point. It's something that will come out at some point. It is going to catch up with advantage. This is going to catch up with both sides. Someone will start asking what is in it for us. And lastly, and this is the punch. I want you to take a minute and listen to this punch. This is the punch. The state players want to narrow the contest as between William Ruto and Kalonzo Musyoka. Why? Allow me to be biased in this point. And just for this point, if you look at the opposition team, the strongest in terms of national acumen and national traction is Matiang'i. Is the strongest. William Ruto do not want to face Matiang'i. William Ruto do not want to face Matiang'i. Coming second is Rigathi, and then Kalonzo is also there. But then, one of the most prominent names that has been floated for presidency has been Matiang'i. And there is no difference between Kalonzo, Raila, Matiang'i, Kalonzo, Raila, Ruto. So there are so many factors here. And clearly, Ruto wants a Ruto-Kalonzo contest. Then, he will spend the next few days demonizing Kalonzo Musyoka. That is what he will do. In the next few days, the person that will be demonized most is actually Kalonzo Musyoka. Eti wanasema Kalonzo atawezana na mimi. Kalonzo atawezana na mimi. And I think this thing will tell you that the math is not mathing for William Ruto. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Let's meet in the next. And tell me, in your own understanding, who should be the candidate and who should be the deputy? I want to read in the comment section. Remember, in this podcast, we don't have the monopoly of opinion. So I want to read your opinion in the podcast here. I want to take the next 20 minutes, look at your feedback. The first 20 minutes on this, I'm going to read your feedback on this. Thank you.